Yes, thank you, Steve. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Thank you for having Deloitte in this session. It's a great opportunity for us to share our thoughts around the local content. So for today, I'm bringing an overview on the key levers that in our understanding can help us as Mozambique leverage on benefits from the oil and gas projects. And I'll be focusing on the oil and gas sector, but we have clearly other potentialities such as mining with a lot of natural resources, but this presentation will be focused on the oil and gas sector. I'm starting with giving an overview of what this sector looks like in Mozambique. And recently, we discovered over 150 TCFs of natural gas reserves in the Rovuma Basin. In Cabo Delgado, north region of Mozambique, which is huge for our country and can place Mozambique as one of the top 10 LNG suppliers in the world. And we currently have 3 LNG projects in the Rovuma Basin in different stages. And as Philip mentioned previously, it's very good to have the Coral South producing the first LNG, and 2 weeks ago they were able to export the first LNG cargo, which is huge for the country. But all of this context brings a lot of expectations around how Mozambican people and how local companies can really benefit from this industry, from this activity in the oil and gas sector. So today, based on our experience with the local content with the local content projects, and we are providing and developing projects for the government of Mozambique and also for the international oil companies. So based on this experience, Mozambican experience, and the knowledge of lessons learned in other countries, we want to bring you some levers that in our understanding can really add value to the local content in Mozambique. And the first one is the need to create rules around local content. We currently don't have a policy or any regulation that gives direction on local content. And if we look at some of other countries such as Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya, they leverage on their own regulation to maximize the impact of their industries in the bringing true value to the economy. For example, in Ghana, the local content regulation helped them grow significantly the manufacturing sector. In Nigeria, the same happened in the welding sector, for example. So the local content rules are critical to bring a true development and economic development for the countries. And we are now basically designing all our initiatives and programs around the local content plans agreed between the government and the concessionaires, the oil and gas concessionaires. The second one, the second lever, is the focus. We have a lot of initiatives around local content. These first initiatives, there's the need to have a focus on specific sectors, on specific areas related to skills and goods and services supply, and very linked to the expected demand. And in our opinion, the focus should be not only in what we know how to do, but also in the areas that can also be used in other sectors of activity that are transversal. So those areas and those sectors must not be focused only on the oil and gas industry, should also be used in other sectors. And I want to give an example related to skills development, just to give an example. In Mozambique, we have a lot of electricians, a lot of carpenters, plumbers, but they don't have or meet the requirements of this very specialized industry, such as the oil and gas industry. So it's critical to identify those occupations that we already have and identify the gaps and work on creating the capacity around those focused areas. And just to add, when we focus our attention in one specific or in specific areas, we will be able to use that to maximize the impact. And when we look at areas that can also be used in other sectors, we can also maximize the impact of local content, basically. The third one is related, the third lever is related to the creation of the necessary conditions to close the existing gaps. We have many challenges and huge gaps to address in order to be able to maximize the added value from the oil and gas sector and oil and gas activity in the country. So it's critical for us to be able to identify the gaps and create the conditions to close these gaps. With financing, for example, creation of financing lines for SMEs development, making possible for them to obtain the necessary certifications, that's just an example, or training, define training plans, specific training plans for people and for local enterprises, prepare and organize events that will promote intelligent partnerships. For example, development may also be a way to close this gap in the short term and make sure that with these partnerships, local companies can benefit with the knowledge and technology transfer. That's one critical thing as well. And just to give you a view of the existing gaps, more than 90% of Mozambican companies are micro, small, and medium enterprises. And most of them do not meet the requirements of this industry or don't even know which those requirements are. So that's the government and the concessionaires needs to work a lot in this area. The fourth lever is related to the market bottlenecks. It's very important to unlock them and to focus on the identified value chains. When I talked about the first lever, the second one, sorry, I mentioned the focus areas and sectors. So here I'm saying that when we identify those sectors, we need to make sure that we are looking at the whole value chain. Just to give an example, one of the main sectors in Mozambique is agriculture. Most of our population works and lives from the agriculture activity. And if we decide to choose this sector as the focus sector, we must be able to work on all its value chain, from the inputs to the market, to the access to market, inputs with seeds and fertilizers, then look at the production side and see exactly what is the need, what is needed, and to maximize the production, transfer knowledge, technology for the farmers. So then we will be looking at the production side, but we also must look at the storage, the processing, then the distribution and the market consumption. Knowing that one of the main bottlenecks that we have in the market is related with the transport and logistics, which is critical to transport goods and people from one place to another. The last one, the last lever that I bring today is related to the coordination, improved coordination between the various stakeholders. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of initiatives. There's a huge focus in maximizing the benefits from the oil and gas project. So we have a lot of initiatives, but we need to work together in a coordinated way. That's critical. And this coordination must be between the governments, the oil companies, the private sector platforms, or the training entities, to make sure that we really create this capacity, intern capacity in terms of skills and enterprise development. Just to give you an example of a lesson learned. In Brazil, with the same objective as I mentioned here, created a program named PROMIMP, sorry. And as part of this program, they created specific forums, and I'll give the example of a forum related to skills development, where they create the coordination forum between the government and the oil companies, and we're able to define specific profiles, curriculums, and other conditions that are requirements from the industry. We're not seeing that really happening in Mozambique, but that is critical for impactful results. In Brazil, for example, when we look at the results in shipyards professionals, in 10 years, they were able to increase the number of professionals in shipyards from 700 to 7,800 professionals allocated to this area. So that, which is huge. So coordination is also key for local content development. So those are the main levers I wanted to bring today based on our experience, and they can easily be used when we look at the mining sector, for example, which is other major opportunity, potentiality in Mozambique. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, everyone.